Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. I just posted a video recently about paying off my 2018 Harley Davidson Heritage. I love that motorcycle, but I've also been considering making a change, and if you followed the channel long enough, you'll know I've actually done quite a bit of reviews and commentary on Indian motorcycles, and this right here is a 2024 Indian Pursuit. Now, I love this motorcycle. We're going to talk more about it, but I'm not going to sugarcoat things. Honestly, the last few months of my life have actually been pretty rough. The cherry on top was that actually last week I actually lost my job. I recorded a video about it, but in terms of being in the market for a $30,000 plus motorcycle, or upper 20s, lower 30s, it's probably going to go on the back burner for right now as I try to figure some things out. So if you could please like, share, subscribe. I can kind of use it right now because again, I'm not entirely sure what the future holds. But let's get out and talk about this Indian Pursuit. And truth be told, a lot of the stuff that I was going through in the last couple months, this bike actually helped me kind of get through. So we can go out and talk about specs all day long on motorcycles and ride impressions. We'll talk about all that in this video, but a lot of getting out and riding is, in my opinion, a lot to do with throttle therapy. It's why a lot of us ride, and I am no different. So for me, getting out recently and being able to hop on this bike and really kind of clear my head, it's been kind of a game changer. I also have to say, I want to thank Indian Motorcycles, the people of the brand amp that have been so overwhelmingly supportive of me. Nobody's really pestered me to say like, hey man, what's going on? Again, I just want to thank Indian Motorcycles, the people of the brand amp, and most importantly you guys for being patient with me as going through things sucks. And anytime that's happening when you're a YouTuber, it's really difficult to keep on that treadmill of not only firing up cameras, but then editing the videos and reaching out to these people and keeping the communication open. Like, it is a whole thing in and of itself. And I just am forever grateful to the companies that I work with that are kind of like people first before product. And I, in terms of Indian Motorcycles, have had so many interactions with the people, and they're all people, and that's the most important thing to me, which is why I've actually considered making the jump from Harley Davidson over to Indian Motorcycles, because not only is the product absolutely amazing, but man, so are the people and the community and everything about it. So if you guys have followed the channel for a while, you'll know this is actually not my first foray into putting down some miles on the Pursuit platform. But I've also had another Pursuit that I took on a trip from Phoenix up to Boulder, Colorado, and I'll link that video for you guys to watch. I'll throw a card up here. But I logged on that trip, I want to say 1,300 miles, which was really great. I mean, that trip from Phoenix up to Boulder is an absolutely beautiful trip. I do not recommend the Pursuit as the greatest vehicle for snow, but other than that, the trip itself was great. The one thing I will say with this bike is it's got all of the things. You've got your lowers, you've got your adjustable windscreen, so if you're in really cold environments, you can kind of pop that screen up and keep a ton of the wind off of you, which is fantastic. You've got heated grips. This one in particular has a heated seat as well. I actually rode this back from California with John's Moto Garage, and it was an absolute pleasure. Again, this bike I can do many hours on. When I rode back from Boulder to Phoenix, I literally could have done that entire 12-hour trip in one shot if I chose to. I chose to stop at a hotel and kind of crash for the night, because for me, I didn't want to ride into the Tonto National Forest where there's a bunch of big game. I certainly don't want to hit anything on the bike, so I chose to stop for the night and kind of carry on in the morning. But in terms of comfort, out of the box, no changing of any seats, no changing of any bars. the way the bike comes, I could ride easily a 10-hour day. 12 probably would have started to get a little bit much, maybe on the lower back. Certainly could have done it and been fine. It's just that this bike rides so smooth. Now, in terms of power output, it's got ridiculous power. I mean, twist the throttle and it just up and goes in 6th gear. The horsepower and torque out of this Power Plus motor is just an absolute animal, to the point where you got to be a little bit careful at times, because it can also get you going a little faster than you had anticipated with just a slight blip of the throttle, which is something to also be mindful of. But with the power up on the highway, getting around people, passing, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Now, me also, I'm a big fan of these big, heavy bikes. I do appreciate the power, because I love to just bang gears off the red lights. So up to 60 there. The wild thing is that when you bang that gear shift from 1st to 2nd, you actually feel the front end like come off the ground. It's got so much power on that 1-2 shift that if you're really kind of giving it the beans, you'll really feel that front tire lift up. And that was only on standard mode. I wasn't even in sport. Now, of course, yes, it's nimble. I mean, the flickability of these giant bikes, this goes no different than like Harley Davidson. I have ridden the new touring bikes. They're doing so much better in terms of engineering the weight, so that, you know, yeah, they're all 7, 8, pushing 900-pound motorcycles, but it matters on where you put that weight. It's kind of like the whole like lever sort of thing. So if you're going to put that weight up high, it's going to feel a lot more unwieldy as you're coming to stops like this. You're going to start feeling that weight. But these bikes do such a good job of just coming to a stop and, you know, being able to throw one foot down and kind of hold it up. It's really not all that difficult to manage. We'll open up this vent down here. I can do it with my boots, but that tends to be a little more difficult. Yeah, it's just amazing how much they've been able to engineer the weight of these bikes down low. So like your oil sumps and all that stuff is so low that it really kind of helps bring that center of gravity down. You feel it for sure. And I will say Harley Davidson has done a really great job on their new touring bikes. I've ridden that and I thought it was fantastic. But I still think Indian, in terms of weight, feels much better. Now, if we want to talk comparing to Harley Davidson, there's a couple things I actually want to talk about. First and foremost, you know, I'm going to say I spent an entire day out riding the new Road Glide, and that thing threw a check engine light. This one has not. On my ride back from California, I was having some issues with my CarPlay cutting out, and I would do the hard reset, which is hold down the button in the middle here, and it would hard reset, and it would throw off a check engine light. And I thought I was getting check engine lights, but it was actually just because I was resetting the CarPlay connection. Once I replaced the crappy cable I had in here with a good cable, like an anchor cable, it no longer cuts out. So I think I just had a faulty cable. So if you're having those issues, get a really good quality USB-C cable or lightning cable, depending on what phone you're using, and you should find your experience with that changing dramatically. So there you go. You know, a Harley just passed by me, and I got, you know, you get the wave. I hear or feel this sense that a lot of Harley people won't look at Indian because of, you know, maybe being snubbed by their Harley boys. I gotta say, when you're out and about on an Indian, and I've experienced this on every Indian motorcycle that I've been on, there are a lot of Harley guys that actually show you a little bit of intrigue, not just love, but like intrigue. Like, hey, man, that looks really nice, or like, what's it like? And asking questions more inquisitively than judgmentally. And I've always found that to be interesting. I've also noticed, just even going to, like, I don't know, making a run to the store and parking the bike, a lot of people being like, hey, what is that? You don't get that on a Harley Davidson. Everybody knows what a Harley Davidson is, and you might find that cool, but I personally find it really interesting, the same way I do when I'm out like in a slingshot or anything else that's unique, that people look at you and go, what is that? And there's a lot of conversation had. Let's get the away from whatever's going on with this thing. Let's get as far away from that dude as we possibly can. So it's very interesting to me, you know, the amount of love that you get with this bike. I mean, the lines are beautiful. The whole motorcycle design itself is really a very captivating design. A lot of people pay a lot of attention to it. Even people who aren't riding motorcycles kind of stop and go, what is that? And I really enjoy that because it's like a unique experience. So if you want to go out and grab a Harley, because I did the same thing. I went out when I bought my motorcycle. I just went to the Harley dealership, never even considered Indian, wished that I had. But, you know, if you want to be different and still get the same amount of respect, Indian Motorcycles is absolutely where it's at. I mean, these bikes are absolutely stellar. I'm going to do another video soon because I know a lot of the Harley versus Indian crowd likes to talk about, well, you know, what about dealer support? I did a video on this not too long ago about, yes, how there's a ton of Harley Davidson dealerships out there since a bunch have shut down. So I want to actually look and see how this map looks again. But there's also just a lot of dealerships on top of dealerships, where it's like one city might have 7 different dealerships. It's like, all right, so they have more, but they're also like all in the same spot. So geographically speaking, you're really not in a position with an Indian where you're not going to be able to get to a dealer and get support any different than you could with a Harley. With a Harley, you might just have 8 different choices in the same city to go to. It's like that in Phoenix. It's like that in LA. And you know, Daytona, I think, is like, a bunch of cities just have a lot of redundancy, which, yeah, there's an argument to be made about that too. But, you know, I just think that Indian versus Harley, in terms of quality and comfort and ride, Indian has a lot of benefits over top of Harley Davidson. Now, one of those benefits is the suspension. The suspension on this thing is bonkers. I have hit all kinds of big bumps, highway bridge abutments, all kinds of things. This thing never bottoms out. So here you've got shock preload, you got luggage settings, you can adjust for 1 up, 2 up. You can also adjust for luggage that you have in the bike, and really kind of fine-tune that suspension. It is a very, very well put together motorcycle. So yes, it's expensive, but there is a ton of features on here, including electronic preload adjustments. And I saw recently on the new Harley Davidson Ultras that they've got preload adjustment, but it's a manual twisting, turning kind of thing on the side of the bike. So Indian has absolutely a leg up on that front. Now, in terms of, I guess, one critique I could give, I didn't really experience this on the first Pursuit that I rode, but it was also the time of year that I think made a big impact, is that you do get a little bit of heat off the right side of the motor here, that even with the lower opened up, when you're talking about a really hot ride, it does start to feel a little bit warm. I felt that when I was on my way back from California, and I started kind of riding with you know, my boot out to the side just to get a little more airflow kind of up the jeans. I think if I were to buy an Indian Pursuit, that I would go out of my way to do like a heat wrap on the exhaust underneath the shield to help try to alleviate some of that heat on the boot. But you know, right now I don't feel it, but it's also 70 degrees out right now. But when you start getting into like 90s, that's where you're like, oh, you start to feel that heat build up. Other than that though, you know, the bike is just a really, really pleasurable bike to ride. Now you also have, in terms of like some of the other tech features, rain mode, normal or standard mode, and a sport mode. Let's try to do a tighter UE here. So, took up 3 lanes. If you only had 2 lanes, I guess I could probably do it in 2. So where I'm heading right now is out to area kind of south of Phoenix. So this route here is 238 heading west to 85, which is really kind of a nice route. As we get further kind of out of this area here, it just gets to have this like real old westy kind of vibe to it, where you got these mountains and the train track runs along here. It just kind of feels like the Wild Wild West coming out this way, and it's a nice twisty turny route that gives you enough to have some fun, but also not super technical, so you don't have to get like really, I guess, into the ride. You kind of just enjoy what's around you and have enough of scenery and twisties to, in my opinion, kind of satisfy scratching the itch of everything you might want for like a nice midday get out and cruise kind of ride. So this is what motorcycles is honestly all about, is getting out. And I made mention that, you know, the last few months have been pretty tough, and being able to get out here, hop on the bike, and just kind of clear your mind. The motorcycle throttle therapy thing is something that the moment I started riding was felt, but you know, the more you kind of go through life, and you know, you have moments. Everybody's life is kind of, it's like the roller coaster, ups and downs. To be able to just kind of take a pause and come out, and in my personal opinion, it's like getting out and riding like this makes you realize just how small you are in a very healthy way, where like you get in your daily life and you know, things just start to just beat you down all the time. And if you get out of it and you just come to a place like this, you just realize like none of that shit matters. It's just really a relief to come out and you know, I don't want to say it doesn't matter. It matters, but it's like perspective is critically important, especially when you're kind of going through times. And to be able to come out, and if you're not creating YouTube content, you're literally just here. And I don't know, I don't think there's any better you know, way to kind of clear your head. Now, yeah, go out and therapy and talk to people, support, all that stuff is critically important. But there's times when it's just you, yourself, machine, and you know, the visceral feeling of just being connected to the machine. Just, it's really hard to put into words. Anybody who rides understands it. It's a bug. It bites you, it gets you, it grabs hold, and once you do it, you can just never turn back. So, you know, with my experience with India motorcycle, I really enjoyed you know, what it means to ride in India, and I've ridden enough of them, I've put enough miles on them to really experience it and truly feel it. Now, you know, I'm actually going to go and just enjoy these winding roads as one should. I want to thank India Motorcycles for loaning this Indian Pursuit. Stay tuned. I'm going to do some more Indian versus Harley stuff because I find it very captivating. There's a lot of intrigue out there around the whole thing, and I just love everything India Motorcycles is doing. And truth be told, if they weren't doing what they're doing now, we would not have the incredibly I want to say revolutionary, but it's still evolutionary, Harley Davidson touring bikes. I say that because in terms of like the actual chassis of the Indian, you know, it is still superior in my opinion to what Harley Davidson has out there. You know, Harley Davidson just kind of took the frame that they had, re-engineered it a bit, threw a new power plant in there, and that was pretty much it. So I am actually looking forward to, at some point, when Harley comes out with a whole new touring frame that really kind of drops some of the weight down even more. But we'll see. That's a whole nother conversation for another video. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Right now it's super important because I don't have a job. Remember, likes go a long way to support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.